remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney prior to and during any questioning. You can't afford one, a court will appoint one for you. You understand your rights?
Your crime spree was over, son. Yeah, you thought you had it licked, but Hitman overturned, made your sugar turn to shit. Get ready, you're gonna do time. Real life, real crime.
Warning. Each episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, will contain descriptions of acts of violence or of a sexual nature and are for people that are 18 years or older. Heed my warning, people. I do not get the facts of these cases off the internet or from some television show. These facts I'm retelling were presented to me by the victims of the crime or the perpetrators who committed the crimes. My descriptions of the crime scenes are what I saw with my own two eyes. If you are going to get offended, turn this podcast off now. Thank you. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. And as always, I'm your host, Woody Overton, and with my co-host, Jim, the Hitman Raffman. What's up, Jim?
Not much. How you doing today, Woody?
I'm doing well, brother. I'm doing well. So let's just jump straight into it, brother. Y'all, we're going to talk about the Crew Bash, the Real Life, Real Crime, first annual or inaugural Crew Bash, which is February the 15th at the Basin on 3rd Street in downtown Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And y'all, the Basin basically is a concert hall. It's a really cool venue, right in the heart of all the action on 3rd Street. So, you know, it's just a great place. Jim and I are going to take the stage. The doors open at 8. Jim and I will probably take the stage around 9. We're going to do a new, never before heard episode of Real Life, Real Crime. Jim?
Yeah, we've gotten the question a lot. It will not be the same case as what's going on in the lives in January. It's going to be completely different, and it's going to be good.
Yes. And y'all, that the night before is Valentine's, and this case is going to have something to kind of tie into that. I'm warning you now. It's for adults only. It's got sex. It's got murder, and it's not one that you've heard of. It happened many, many, many years ago, but it's going to be graphic. And there's some light parts in it, but it's just going to be a great show. Jim and I are going to rock the stage for a couple hours, and then we're going to get down. We're going to have the photo booth type things. What do you call those, Jim?
Just a backdrop photos, like a little photo section. So we'll be able to do like meet and greets, take pictures with everybody, hang out, have drinks, and cut it up.
Yeah, we'll have a couple of those set up in the back because after Jim and I get off the stage and we go to start doing the meet and greets, Tom Play will be taking in their band. That's the musicians that do our opening music. And he and his wife, Shelly, Toby Tom Play and Shelly and their full band will be taking the stage and playing until we close. And it'll close around 2 a.m. It'll be, the Basin is a great concert venue. They'll have wait staff and they'll be selling alcohol at the different bars, et cetera. And we're going to have a lot of drinks and a lot of fun. We're celebrating our 1 year anniversary of Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast, 1 million downloads, our 2019 Podcast of the Year award, or awards, I should say, and Mardi Gras and my 50th birthday. So it's going to be a great time. $35. Get you tickets at eventbrite.com, or go on our website or any of our Facebook pages. There's links to it. Get your tickets while they last, people. They are selling now. The Basin is a big venue, but the tickets are going to sell out, so you need to get them while you can. We will not have any extras or leeway to give away, so get them while you can. Jim?
Yeah, I agree. We can't create another day of this like we were fortunate to do with the Livingston Parish Literacy and Technology Center. So definitely get your tickets and come meet us out there. We're going to have a hell of a time. We won't disappoint. Yeah,
it's gonna be a great show, y'all, and we've been working on it. And Tom Plays music's got awesome. They're a South Louisiana staple. The Basin is a great venue. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it has the big concert area floor downstairs, and then it has a wraparound balcony upstairs if you want to watch from that venue, from that standpoint or whatever. It's just a really great place, great vibe. It's going to be a hell of a party. Get your tickets before they sell out. They can only let so many people in because of the fire marshal. So don't miss out on it. All right. So without further ado, let's kick off this week's episode, and it's titled, I Murdered Us Both. Okay. So on December the 8th, 2000, what year was it, Jim? 2006? December the 8th.
Yes, 2006.
December the 8th, 2006. It was a Friday. I was working as a detective for the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. And Jim, I think you and I were partners at this time.
Yep, sure were.
And it was around 10 o'clock in the morning. I was at the courthouse, and my pager went off, and it said there's been a shooting on Perkins Road, possible possible standoff situation. Now, I had been on the special response team for the years before that, but when I really got deep into detectives, I gave it up because, getting called out at all times of the night and stuff like that, and still having to go in and cover your regular detective load. I had given it up, but Jim, you were still on the special response team, right?
Yep, I still was, and actually I had came off of working nights because we had that. I think we were on nights that week because I had.
Right. That's right.
Or maybe we were on days, whatever it was you were on. I just remember going home, and I had just gotten to sleep, right, and I got paged out.
Right. So the page goes off. Everybody respond to this address on Perkins Road. Now, Perkins Road, let's talk about that. It's kind of in between. It's north of Denham and Walker, but almost dead set in between the two. It's a really rural road. It's off of Cane Market Road. And when you turn on, Perkins Road runs north off of Cane Market Road. Anyway, let me digress. The 911 call came in, and it was a lady screaming, frantic screaming. She had taken her daughter to her boyfriend's house. They had just split up, and the mom had taken her daughter. The daughter's name was Crystal Gail Liotta, Liotta, who at the time was 23 years old. She was just 3 weeks shy of her 24th birthday. And the mom took her over there to pick her personal items up from Morris Wayne Mathern's house. Now, Morris Wayne Mathern was 48 years old, and he had been dating Crystal, who was 23, and Crystal broke it off with him. but she needed to go over to his residence to pick up her stuff. In his residence, when you turn on Perkins Road, you go down not even a quarter of a mile, and there's a big turn. The road turns to the left, and the turn comes back out to the right. As soon as you come back, I mean, it's a sharp turn, like, what do you say, like a 90, Jim? I mean, not a 90.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a really, really bad turn. But this is a little bitty blacktop road. There's no dividing line. I mean, it's country. But when you come out of that turn, Mathern's trailer was right up against the road. It ran horizontal with the road. It was on the left-hand side of the road. It was a small, old trailer. I think maybe I know it had one bedroom, maybe two, but I mean, it was small. And when you pull in up to the trailer, there's only enough room in the front yard between the road and the trailer for one vehicle. There's really no front yard, pretty much just the ditch and a parking area. Old trailer had some wooden steps that went up to it with a little platform and were the front door. Now on the back side of the trailer, the woods came all the way up to the trailer, and not just woods, but like brush. I mean, he hadn't cut it in forever. When you look at it, if you're standing at the end of the trailer looking down the side, you couldn't even get out the back door. There were no back steps or anything like that, and it was all overgrown. So back to it, the mom takes Crystal to go get her stuff, and she pulls up, and Crystal gets out and goes inside, and the mom could hear Morris Wayne and Crystal begin to argue. And Crystal comes out of the trailer, and she's carrying stuff. Well, Morris Wayne comes out behind her, and he's carrying something too. He's carrying a .22 rifle. So the mom immediately calls 911 and tells them what's going on. And y'all, we don't have access to any 911 calls from the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. For some reason, before 2014, all their 911 calls have been erased, some kind of computer or error system or whatever. So we don't have access to those. But she calls in and she's screaming. Crystal's running from him. He had the gun. He was chasing her out the door. She calls in and she's screaming, "Oh my God, he's got a gun and he's going to kill her." And it wasn't that long, but she was actually on the phone with 911 and they heard the first shot. Bam! And then the mom is screaming, he shot her. Bam! Second shot. Bam! Third shot. So the mom is screaming. Crystal never had a time to get in to the passenger seat of the car. The mom is screaming frantically, and Mathern turns around and goes back inside the trailer. Mom gets out is still on the phone with 911 screaming. They're trying to calm her down. And the Crystal's been shot 3 times in the head with a .22 caliber rifle. Jim, you want to tell them about a .22 versus a higher caliber? Or?
Yeah, real quick though. When Crystal came running out, they were trying to get into the car so they can get away. The mom was talking on 911 like Woody said. Crystal was trying to get in the car, but the door was locked. They couldn't get the door unlocked quick enough.
Right.
When he started firing the shots at Crystal. He then, if I remember correctly, Woody, he actually pointed the rifle at the mom.
And it wouldn't fire.
But it was jammed or lack of rounds, whatever it was, but he couldn't fire off a shot and then went back into the trailer.
Right. And the mom doesn't know if he's going back in to reload or whatever, but you're right. He fired, like you said, I don't think it was lack of rounds. I think it must have been jammed. But he definitely would have killed the mom. So she's on the phone. She runs over to her daughter. There was a deputy. It gets dispatched out as a 103G in progress. The disturbance with a gun, shots fired, body on the ground, and we have the mom on the line, and she, they're talking through the situation. So it's real time. Now there was a deputy that was close by in the area who, was the first one on the scene. And as he pulls up, the mom was actually dragging Crystal, towards the back end of the car, like towards cover out of the way. Cause she fully believed that Mathern was going to come back outside and keep shooting. Jim, you want to tell them what happened?
Yeah. So the deputy came flying down the road, was really close when the initial call came out. When he got to where the trailer is, the mother was dragging dragging Crystal, back, and the deputy ended up using the sheriff's department vehicle to actually provide that as cover between the residents and basically the mother and Crystal being dragged. So he actually used that as like a shield and was able to, back them out of there to a safer area and get her loaded up into the back of the car to drive it in reverse, where he backed up some distance and was able to start trying to get ambulance personnel out there to get her immediate medical help.
Right. And so what happened, y'all, tactically, this trailer was in like the worst position because you're coming out of that turn and there's literally no cover unless you go back around the turn. He could come out, especially with a rifle, you can shoot long distances. He could come out at any time and start shooting them. The deputy, of course, he's a hero. But they're just doing what they do. But he was able to get her back, and then other units start responding on the scene. So the page goes out for me as the detective to go, and then to all the SRT members. And, Jim, I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah. So when the page went out, I remember it just saying that shots fired, subject barricaded in residence. And, it just had the location of where to go. And the way that it works on SRT, you have two different teams. You have an A team and a B team, and they work it in 2-week rotations. So usually if there's any type of like narcotic search warrant or anything like that, whichever team is on call during that 2-week period will respond to that. But in a case such as this, you need everybody and anybody that can make it that's on the SRT team. And I happened to be on my 2-week rotation regardless, but it was all hands on deck, everybody come. So we always carry our SWAT gear. And for me, when I was on my 2 weeks, I was always prepared. I had all my stuff right where I needed it in the trunk of my vehicle. I knew it was already placed, inventoried. I knew exactly the procedure I needed to get everything on in a moment's notice. And that particular day, that's exactly what I had to do. I got the page, boom, I was gone. I was out of the house. I was actually putting on some gear as I'm driving. And so that way when I showed up, I can get right on the scene. And it wasn't too far away, but definitely had to haul ass to get there.
Yeah. And I remember I used to have all my stuff organized in the trunk where I could put it on in the pitch black, just like when I was in the Army and you're in the field. I had my stuff set to where I could do it, without anything. Of course, if you're in a hostage situation or a standoff situation like that, if it was nighttime, you don't want to be out there with the flashlight on making a target of yourself. But yeah, and it's a lot of gear, y'all. You're talking about tactical vest with the shield plates in the front and back, and then your weapons and your helmet and your goggles and your knee pads and elbow pads. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of gear. It's a lot of training and preparation that goes into these situations. And, so this is not like a narcotics search warrant call out where you would go to the range or wherever they meet at and get briefed ahead of time and get whatever intelligence they have on the residents and how many people are there, how many doors, and have a picture of the place and all that. No, this is a shit hot call. Everybody's responding, and you get there, And once you arrive on the scene, you'll get placed or you'll meet with the team leaders and they work out a plan from there. So Perkins Road, that when you turn on off of Kmart, that's one way, but it runs all the way up to Springfield, what they call Springfield Road or Highway 63 or Weiss, some of them call it Weiss Road, Weiss Road. But it's a little curvy road that runs up to that highway, which is way, way in the sticks, but it had to be blocked off from both sides. So some units were responding from the other side, from the north side, some responding from the south, but you can't pull up from when you're coming from the north side. Mathern would have had a good long shot. It was several hundred yards, maybe a quarter mile open straight away on that side. But from the south side, out of that 90-degree turn, it had to be blocked off from there. All right. So everybody's responding. The, Crystal was bleeding severely from her head. Acadian, once he had her safe out of that distance and other units are arriving, setting up the perimeter, et cetera. Acadian actually took her, they had to call Air Med, and Acadian took her and she was airlifted out by helicopter. She was in bad shape, y'all. I don't care what kind of caliber rifle it is. If you're shot 3 times in the head at pretty close range, it's not going to be good. So I remember arriving and I came in on the south side and was stopped naturally around the turn. Everybody was there, tons of units, et cetera, but not being on the SRT team anymore, I was responding to work it as the shooting, possible homicide, however it turned out. When I got there, I was met and briefed on the situation exactly as we told y'all, that he came out, shot her 3 times, tried to shoot the mom. Rifle didn't fire, went back inside. But since he had gone back inside and since that first responding deputy had been on the scene, there had been no one had heard any more gunshots. So we know that he's inside. They were able to keep eyes on the trailer and he had not come back outside. Now, let me tell you about Mathern. He's a big dude. Okay. And I'm not making fun or anything like that, but I mean, this dude was like well in excess of 300 plus pounds, and not with muscle. He was just a big, large man. And so it's not like he's going to run out the door, and go run 3 miles to safety or something. And he probably couldn't walk the 3 miles to safety, but they knew with certainty that he was still inside the residence. All right. So when they arrived and start to set up the perimeter, of course, someone's going to have eyes on the back of the first responding deputies, and someone's going to have eyes on the back of the residence. Someone's going to have eyes on the front door. And as SRT gets there, and starts to set up, and I'll let you talk about it, Jim, they'll take over control of the scene while it's worked. But we knew Mathern was inside the residence. He was armed and he was willing to use it. So one of the good things about when the SRT team, when I was on it, there were no rotations. It was strictly volunteer, and you got called out, period. But as the team grew and the department grew, like Jim said, they broke it down into teams. But almost all the time, there was somebody that was 10-8 in uniform patrol on duty that was an SRT member. Right, Jim?
Yes. And usually when we were on SRT during that 2-week time frame, I would actually sometimes patrol at night in the BDUs that we would wear, just because I'm already in uniform. If something were to get called out. Now, when I was a detective, it was different because we basically wore suits every day.
Right.
But as I stated, I was actually coming from home, so I already had my BDU staged to just throw on and go.
And y'all BDUs are battle dress uniform. That's when like you see the tactical uniforms.
Yeah, black or dark navy blue.
Yeah.
With all the cargo pockets and the little pockets on the top and on the sleeves.
Right, and the badge sewn on so it doesn't hang up, and if you're fighting or running or whatever, it's actually a patch. It's sewn on there, and the patches are sewn on your sleeves, etc. Okay, so we're on scene. SRT's showing up, more SRT's showing up. Jim, I'll let you talk about what happens tactically and tell us about that, and then we're going to take a break after that and talk about something else real quick.
Yeah. So when on my way to the call, we have a tactical channel that we're able to communicate on. So usually the first SWAT officer or SRT officer that shows up will start kind of coordinating where people are going to go because they have eyes on, they can see the situation. So they'll cover as I'm coming up, they were getting instructions. So when I pulled up, I already knew where I was being told to go, which is on the south, kind of like that southeast corner. When you come around that 90-degree turn, on that southeast corner, there was already one of our SRT vehicles there, and so I was able to take position on that where I have the AR-15, fully loaded up. We had people. Basically, you want to be able to cover the entire area. So we have people in the back, on the sides. We actually had sniper team that showed up, and they took position that was hidden. They were a little bit further back, but they were completely concealed, and that way they could cover basically that whole front of the house. And I believe we ended up getting another sniper team that showed up that ended up covering the back part of the residence. It was a little bit harder for them. They were a little further distance, but they had it. So the whole entire trailer was completely covered. And that's when the tactical operation really began. Do you want me to touch on that?
Yeah, let's hold up on that for 1 second. Now, when he was saying they had their own TAC, y'all, that's their own, SRT had their own scramble channel where all the citizens love to listen to police band radios. They couldn't get this one because it had a special scramble code on it. The main net TAC 1 that covered the west side of the parish was 1033, which means it was for emergency traffic only. Everybody else was off. So the regular uniform guys that were there, as SRT pulls up and they take control of the scene, they will relieve them from their positions where they're watching the trailer, and they do what they're trained to do. They take up their positions, they find good cover. They surround it. First thing, you don't want this guy getting out. Secondly, if he comes out and he starts shooting, you have to be prepared to do the response. And so, like Jim said, they train on it all the time, nonstop. So tactically, you have the upper hand as far as not letting this guy hurt anybody else, right? And that
exactly right.
It includes equipment, y'all. It's a lot of specialized equipment. The SWAT vehicle, which is armored, bulletproof ballistic shields. Jim, let's talk about those real quick. The shields.
Yeah, the shields are pretty heavy. They're really large. So if you're holding it out, the shield out in front of you, typically goes a little bit higher than your head and goes all the way down to your feet. So they're real long, real heavy. They're made of that bulletproof plexiglass, I believe is what it is. And it has lights on there. So if you needed to shine it and you could press a button, it literally the lights are so bright, it could just open up and light up in an entire hallway all the way down. It'll look like it's daytime.
Right.
But they're heavy, but gosh, those things are great. Yeah.
And the thing about it is and what I distinctly remember, the first guy holding the shield, this is how much training and trust you have to have in your brothers. And you go through it over and over again. First guy's holding the shield, and then you stack up. The second guy's over his shoulder with his weapon. So he's covered behind the shield, and he's covering. If the gunplay starts, you have it like that. If the stack is deeper, it just falls down the line like that. But I remember training with that heavy son of a bitch. in holding and being glad when it wasn't my turn to be the one holding it. But what you didn't want to have happen was have somebody like our buddy Billy Amy, and I'm pretty tall. I'm 6'2", but you didn't want to have a tall guy in front of you in the stack. And I just remember training and Billy Amy being in front of me, and he's like 6'5", 6'6", and having to squat down and you know, get in the crouch position for a long time and training in the heat, et cetera. And you know, no matter how good a shape you are, it's like a super duper workout when you get done. You know, you're sore and you're hurting. So, but hey, Jim, let's talk about something real quick, and then we'll get right back to the story. Talking about the training reminds me of being sore and pain. And I still have an elbow injury to this day that bothers me a lot. And, but you know, the stress and the anxiety and stuff like that, even though you train for it through SRT, et cetera, it's all very real. But anyway, do you experience stress or have anxiety or chronic pain or have trouble sleeping at least once a week? If you do, you're not alone. Many of us do. Personally, I take medicine since 2004 to sleep every night. Okay. And I don't like, to have to take medicine, and I always been trying to find an alternative, Jim. Like, my wife is big into the essential oils and these different things we tried over the years, et cetera. But I want to tell you about a product that I've got to using, got the samples of and using, and it's really pretty amazing. Okay. It's Feals, Feals. Now, what is Feals? Feals is a premium CBD that's delivered directly to your doorstep. Feals naturally helps reduce stress, anxiety, pain, and sleeplessness. It helps me, Jim. I take the dose at bedtime. I'm conked out. Okay, it doesn't get you high, and there's no. When I wake up in the morning, I actually slept, and a good peaceful sleep. So I wake up, I feel fresh, right? Which is even the medicine that I took for the 14 years. Every morning I wake up, I'm a little bit groggy. It's just totally different when I take the CBD oil. It's easy to take. You just put a few drops under your tongue and you feel the difference within minutes. And that's the other thing. That medicine I took all those years to sleep, it takes like an hour and a half to 2 hours for it to kick in. So anyway, if you're new to CBD or CBD oils, Feals offers a free CBD hotline and text message support to help guide you through your personal experience. Feals works naturally to help you feel better. There's no high, hangover, or addiction. Join the Feals community to get Feals delivered to your door every month. You'll save money on every order, and you can pause or cancel at any time. Feals has me feeling my best every day, and it can help you too. Become a member today by going to feals.com/RLRC, and you'll get 50% off your first order with free shipping. That's FEALS.com/RLRC to become a member and get 50% automatically taken off your first order with free shipping. Feals.com/RLRC. So it really does work, y'all. I'm the biggest skeptic of stuff like that, but I got to try this, and I mean, the sleep to me is the big thing, Jim. But I also I take a couple drops in the morning. That it's different doses for sleep than they teach you how to use it in the morning. You take it in the morning right with my coffee. It's like it clears my head just a little bit. So, but that's it, y'all. Feels. I just wanted to talk about it for a second, Jim. All right.
Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So back to the scene, y'all. We're set up. The guy's barricaded. Mathern's barricaded inside, and there's been no gunshots, etc. All right. So Jim, SRT's there. Perimeter is set. Sniper teams are in place. What happens next?
Yeah, I mean, we're all out there. Really, obviously it's become a public safety risk, and so we have to protect the public as well as the officers on scene, and that's why we train for this all the time. And finally, we're putting it into action. So, everybody has their tactical positions, communicating on if they see any type of movement inside, windows, doors, anything, and then you end up trying to establish communication with them from inside. So what we'll do is usually on a loudspeaker is we'll try to call for them to come out.
Right.
And we'll provide numerous attempts to get that to happen. We ended up getting a hostage, just a negotiator, even though he was in there by himself, to try to coerce him to come out on his own.
Right.
We don't want to have any shots fired. So we're sitting on a loudspeaker announcing his name, asking him to come out, and silence. There just wasn't anything at all.
Right. And real quick on the hostage negotiator, y'all, that's separate from the SRT team. Like one of them was Chuck Watts and one of them was Robert Ardon, and they've been to a school where they, teach them tactics, try to establish communication and end it peacefully. Now, SRT's job is not to kill anybody. It's just to try to end it peacefully if they can. So, they start with, Mathern, we're here, you're surrounded, nobody wants to hurt you. We want to end this peacefully. You need to come to your door with your hands up. The one thing that the SRT and the negotiators and us as detectives had on our side was time. Okay. We know this he's holed up. We have enough of a perimeter where he can't shoot anybody. The traffic's shut down. Nobody can get through from, on the north side from way past where his trailer was. And then of course, on the south side from the, he couldn't shoot anybody. He couldn't hurt anybody. And now if he starts shooting out the windows, they're going to smoke him like a pack of Cools, right? They're going to do what they got to do. But he wasn't responding. They're calling for him, And Morris Mathern, it's the sheriff's office. We're here. You need to come out with your hands up and no weapons, et cetera, et cetera. And you repeat it over and over again. Go ahead, Jim.
And there's a few other tactics we'll try to use as well, like we'll look at the history, if there's ever been any call outs out there before. Can we locate a next of kin? Does he have a phone number?
Yeah.
Try to establish communication with him by calling him. We don't know. Did he cut the phone lines? Did he pull the phone lines out of the wall? We don't really know. But we try every means possible to establish communication or find somebody that he knows that he trusts that we can bring there to help try to, hey, this is Mom, come out here, whatever we could try to do. But we weren't having any luck, and it was still silent. There was no response still coming from inside. We don't know if he's loaded up all kinds of rifles and shotguns and he's just ready for war right there in the street. We don't know. But there was no response still coming from inside.
Right. But you don't let off. They're constantly trying to establish communications with him in some way. Now, again, if they had heard a gunshot go off inside, that would have been different. It would have been a different response. If he'd have started shooting out the windows or something, it'd have been a different response. If he'd have started talking, it'd have been a different response. But again, the one thing you have on your side is time. But after, couple hours go by and you know there's no response and we didn't have family members or he didn't have a cell phone that was answering anything like that. At some point you got to take the next step, Jim.
Right. And then, so the next step was to actually tactically approach the front with using a shield. We had the shield guys there in the front, and it was actually me that was carrying the phone, and we had a phone that we could throw inside and establish communication that way.
Well, tell them.
And which is exactly what we did, was to take that tactical approach.
Yeah.
So
the phone
when the order was given.
Go ahead.
What's that?
Tell them about the phone, Jim. The phone has a camera on it also.
Right.
And it's not just a phone. So if you can get that inside the residence, that's a huge advantage, because then you can see what you're dealing with if he's sitting there loading up weapons or what's going on. So at some point they decide to tactically approach, like Jim's saying, behind the shields. He's being covered by the shields. Jim's carrying the phone. Go ahead, buddy.
So the front door wasn't closed all the way. It was closed, but it had that, if you don't actually twist the handle and push it closed, it just kind of leaves that just a little bit open. We did notice that. And so as we tactically approach behind the shield, you take your time, you're looking, and that's when you really have to trust those. You got to trust that the person in the shield's going to keep it right where it needs to be, because I'm walking and I'm holding on to a phone. And so, we get up to the front door, and that's kind of when you approach around to the side, and we're able to push the door open just enough so I can throw the phone in there. And that's exactly what I did. Pushed the door, threw the phone in, almost like you're throwing a flashbang. You throw that phone in, and I could see someone sitting on a chair. It was like a lazy boy type of a chair. And I saw that. And then we backed our way out.
Right.
And so I went ahead and we had to back all the way out tactically, all the way back. And then it's there I'm able to report what it is that I saw when I threw the phone inside.
Right.
Do you want to pick up with it, or you want me to get it?
Yeah. And I was there when you came back and you reported seeing him, and when they turned the camera on the phone on, we could actually see Mathern on the seat, and there was a rifle. There was a rifle beside him, and he was bleeding from the head. So the decision had to be, and he wasn't moving. It looked like he was 10-7, to be honest with you. It looked like he was dead. So we made it.
Which is what I observed when I threw the phone in.
Right.
But you never know if is he really 10-7 or not.
Right.
It could be playing possum.
That's
so
exactly right.
You still treat it as if he's still alive and active and ready and ready for anything.
Right. And so what happens now is we keep eyeballs on the camera. SRT devises their next plan, Jim.
Yep. The next plan was to go ahead and make entry. So again, now we tactically approach. We have, the sniper teams covering our movement, like we did when we tactically went up to the door. We had the entry team, and then your secondary search team. So once they went ahead and tactically made the entrance, the first people in are going to go right to that immediate threat and hold that threat down while everybody keeps filling the house, checking each room, each corner. Once you finish doing the initial clearance of the rooms and closets, you do what's called the secondary sweep, which is where you're opening up cabinets, looking underneath the beds, flipping over bed mattresses. If you think somebody could hide somewhere, you want to look, because the last thing you want, could there be another victim inside? We wouldn't know. Is there somebody hiding in there? Is there another suspect in there that we didn't know about? So you look high, you look low, you look everywhere. And so we finished the secondary sweep. And it was at that time, when everything was there, he was you could tell he was referred to as 10-7, which is deceased.
Well,
there on that chair.
He was, but when y'all made the entry and you clear the trailer, we're still watching on the phone. And then as soon as they secured the weapon and they did the initial sweep and they said, "Come on in," and I went in and he was actually still breathing, Jim. He was still breathing. And so what we did then was call in the Acadian ambulance, which was staged. Anytime there's a SWAT call out and a standoff like that, the Acadian ambulance will keep a unit or units staged until the situation is resolved, whether it's, in case an officer gets hurt or whatever. In this case, Mathern, I got there, I'm looking at him, he shot himself once in the head with the .22 rifle. And, he was breathing, but he was barely breathing. And
barely breathing.
He slouched,
probably brain dead.
Yeah. Slouched back in his chair in his wife beater, t-shirt and boxer shorts. And he was a big dude. And it was a small trailer. Now, the Acadian comes in with their what do you call them? Carts, body cart, whatever you call it. The gurney. They come in with the gurney. And it was a chore to get the gurney through the door. But when you get the gurney through the door, this dude was big and we had to pick him up, and there's no way two Acadian personnel could pick him up by themselves. And I had to actually assist him, and Jim, you assisted also. And we picked him up. Mm-hmm. I think we had like 6 or 7 of us, had to pick him up, and it was still a chore to get him on the thing. And then we had to get him back out and back off that, raised platform and, et cetera. So that's what we did. We got him up on the thing and got him out. They got him secured in the ambulance and they took him to the hospital, but they didn't air med him. I don't know if that's because, they didn't think he was going to make it. I mean, he was too far gone or whatever. I don't know the reason why. Or maybe because the only helicopter they had, was busy taking Crystal or something. I don't know why. But they took him to the hospital. And at that time, I began to process the scene as a detective. And Jim went back to his unit, and took off all the heavy, nasty stuff. And nobody else. Okay, so as soon as we got Mathern out, I had it taped off, everything. And then there's nobody else to come in, no more SRT members and nothing. We knew the residence was secure. Then we start to process it as probable homicide scene. Okay. And so, Jim would have gone back to his unit and got stripped down. I had to go, get my stuff in camera and stuff like that. The mom's car was still parked there. We recovered the 3. That's what, it was a jam, Jim. We recovered the 3 spent casings, and then there was one that was dented, a live round that was dented that didn't go off, and evidently he cleared it when he was going back inside. Probably, y'all, I think he shot himself right away, and maybe during the commotion of the first unit responding was sirens and, them dragging, Miss Leota away and all that. And I think he shot himself probably in that time frame because he had been down for a while. And a 22 is not that loud. And so it's during the excitement of all that. And, I could see where they could miss the sound. Right, Jim?
Yep, you're right.
And so I think he walked right in. He would have killed the mom, no doubt about it. I think he walked right in.
Without a doubt.
He walked right in. He cleared the jam on his rifle, and he sat in a chair, leaned forward, and put the barrel to his head and pulled the trigger and shot himself. So anyway, so we'll start to process it as a homicide. We collect the evidence, do all the photographs, find the spent casing. It was a semi-automatic 22 rifle. So it ejects the shells. And we found the casing inside. the bullet was still in his head, evidently, because we couldn't find that. And then Jim and I start to look through the residence. It had a strong odor of marijuana in the residence, and I told you it was real small. And I remember going to that, what evidently was his bedroom, which would have been on the south end of the trailer, and finding like jackpot of weed. It was at least 3 pounds of weed bagged up in big Ziploc baggies and like gallon-sized bags.
Like gallon-sized bags.
3 of those full, and then he had scales and a bunch of small individual baggies. So evidently, it could be inferred that he was selling marijuana. You know, is what it is. So, but we processed the scene, we worked it, we of course, you know, took the rifle and the shell casings and the marijuana and whatever else and entered it all into evidence. Then Jim and I went to the hospital, and miraculously, they were both still alive, but they were in surgery, etc. And, unfortunately, Miss Leota died, early the next morning, Saturday morning, I think around 6 a.m. or something like that. And Mathern died that night, that Friday night. So, he murdered them both. And I mean, he killed her, and then he killed himself. So our prayers go out to, you know, the family of the victim. I don't give a shit about Mathern. So, you know, he took her, killed her. He killed Crystal Leota.
The poor mother.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? And I have 2 beautiful, young adult daughters, and I could not imagine. And she was 23. My oldest one is close to that age, and I could not imagine being on that scene and having that guy coming out and watching him, begging him not to, and watching him shoot her not once, twice, 3 times in the head. I mean, you shoot him. That's right, fucking animal. You shoot him the first time, and she goes down, and you're basically standing over it. Y'all, this yard was not big. I mean, like 30 feet. I don't know how much room it takes to park a car, but there was no more room than that, right, Jim? I mean,
heck, the car, where the car is parked and where you got to walk up those steps to get to that trailer.
Touch it.
I mean, you're only talking 5 yards.
Right. So, I mean, he shoots her, she goes down, and he literally pretty much is standing over her and shoots her second time.
Execution shot.
That's exactly right. Shoots her the 3rd time. And fuck him, murder by you for him. Really, really tragic. And like I said, our prayers go out, you know, to the Leota family and the loss of Crystal. So, but that's it. I mean, you know, there's not a lot of joking around about that. The domestic violence is certainly by far the most dangerous call that law enforcement officers respond to. More law enforcement officers get killed every year responding to domestic violence calls than all the other calls put together. And that's because people are so jacked up. Their emotions are jacked up. I guess, Mathern decided he couldn't live without Crystal, and he wasn't going to let her live without him. And he did it. He murdered them. He murdered them both. I mean, I don't know. Jim?
Yeah, you know, actually, since we're talking about domestic violence, I'm going to give a domestic violence message real quick, Woody. You all right with that?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things that go on behind closed doors that people don't get to see or know. And if you are a victim of domestic violence and you're scared to get out, there are programs that will help you get out that are completely discreet. Contact your local authorities when you are safe to be able to speak to someone. When you get in touch with your local authorities, this is all across the country, y'all. It doesn't matter your city, your county, your parish. whatever it is, contact your local authorities, meet with them somewhere that you can that's safe. They will then contact and assist with these programs that get you out of there. But don't stay in a situation where you can get hurt or get killed or your children. There are ways to get out of that. Nobody needs to live a life in fear and then getting beaten and just going through that emotional and physical hell.
Yeah.
So if you're scared to get out, there are ways to get out and to have it done and be able to get out safely.
Listen.
Okay? So contact your local authorities. They have those ways to make that happen. I promise you.
We've dealt with hundreds and hundreds. I can't even tell you how many cases, and they're so sad. Most of the time, and sometimes it's a guy, but most of the time the female has been mentally beat down to the point where the person is like, you can't leave me. Nobody wants you. You're fat or ugly. You're stupid. And you got your kids. Who's going to take care of you? Blah, blah, blah. And I always call it the circle of domestic violence, because they'll go and argue to the point where they get their ass beat again. And then what happens right afterwards, especially, we'd arrest the same assholes over and over and over again. And the female would always drop the charges. And you know why? That's part of my circle I'm talking about. They reach the climax, if you will, where the abuse happens, and if they have the guts to call 911 or someone else calls 911, they come out, we arrest the bad guy, then it's all honeymoon time. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. I worship the ground you walk on. Stay with me. We got the best life ever, And guess what? It's honeymoon period until the circle comes all back around again, and the next thing sets that idiot off, and it starts the whole circle again. And the bad part is, and I'll just talk, the bad part is, I told every one of them, I said, one day we're going to come out here and you're going to be dead. I'm going to be working your homicide instead of showing up for a domestic violence report. And the state of Louisiana actually changed the laws when I was a detective, where they could start taking the charges on these repeat cases like that. The state could prosecute the offender for domestic violence, even if the victim didn't want to press the charges. Go ahead, Joe.
And you're 100% right. It's a vicious circle. You know, the first time it ever happens, and then they're going to apologize, and you're going to forgive. And then guess what? The next time it happens, it progressively gets worse. Right. Each time the domestic violence happens, it gets worse and worse because they keep getting away with it. And so they keep doing it more, or you get beat up even more. And it's a vicious cycle. And unfortunately, when we say that, I've told these victims the same way Woody has, press charges and don't drop them, because one day we're going to end up coming back here and it'll be your homicide that we're going to work. And guess what? That has happened. As sad as it is, as much as I hate it, it happens. And that's one of the things we've had to deal with. And now you have someone who lost their life because of some asshole who wants to go out in these rages and beat a woman. I don't stand for it. Nobody stands for it.
I don't either.
Don't stand for it for yourself. Demand more of yourself than that.
Yeah, but dealing with so many cases, and we'll just get off the topic, but dealing with so many cases, so many people truly feel like they're stuck, you know, and because they've been beat down mentally for so long, and then they feel like they don't have anywhere to go, and they don't want to get divorced, and what are the kids going to think and all that. Hey, it's a hell of a lot better, y'all, to get out and get help than it is to be dead. Okay. Who's going to raise your kids when you're dead? And guess what? Kids are smart. I mean, and as studies show, that kids grow up and seek out spouses like their parents. I mean, you want your kid growing up, and going through the domestic violence also. And look, I could go on for this all day long. It makes me sick. I got some really sad stories. Victims that I became close to that end up working their murders. And Jim, I know, you know, some of them that I'm talking about, but y'all, if you're if you're a victim of domestic violence, get help. Okay. You don't have to live through it. I don't care what they tell you. So, Jim.
Yeah, no, I think I said it all earlier. You know, there are programs. Contact your local authorities. Meet with them somewhere when you are safe to be able to do so, and they will help safely get you out of that situation. But I hope that you will seek that help.
Yeah, you have to make it up. We can't make your mind up for you. And if you're dead, then it's too late. So that's it, y'all. I murdered us both. I can't really say I hope you enjoyed it. It's a tragic story. You know, we've been doing a lot of stories lately that has some lightheartedness to it and stuff like that. Well, there's nothing funny about this. It was a tragedy that mom will be and family will be forever scarred. But it also is an example of real life and real crime. And it was a good police case and good special response team keeping the public safe. And, you know, it is what it is. So both of them died, or both of them murdered. Even the suicide is murder of yourself. That's it. And Jim, let's couple shout outs, since the episode is over now. Y'all, we hit 12,000 members on our Real Life, Real Crime Friends, Fans, and Crew page last night. That is amazing. We didn't start that page. That was started by one of the Dream Team moderators, Rachel Franzim, who's from Alaska. And she asked me, she said, you need to start a private page. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. She said, I'll make it for you. So she actually created the page like at end of March, I think, last year. So in like 10 months or whatever, we hit 12,000 members. Y'all please keep, inviting and everybody that you know to it. I mean, you go look at some of the biggest podcasts in the nation, and they don't have half those amount of numbers in their private group. And the lifers, we love y'all. We appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for liking and listening and sharing. Y'all are helping us grow. We're right at that 1 million download marks, and that's just unheard of. At 11 months and 1 week to have a 1 million downloads is just crazy. So that's because y'all lifers, you're rocking it, you're killing it, you're sharing us. You know, I got a little bit of feedback, buddy. That you're liking it, you're sharing us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Patron members, certainly, we appreciate your financial support. We hope you're enjoying all your bonus episodes of Real Life, Real Crime, y'all. But Patron members have. Jim, I'm getting some feedback. The Patron members, I think there's 6 or 7 hours worth locked up now. On February 2nd, we will be locking up another full-length bonus patron episode. And again, a lot of y'all are using it, your discounts in the merchandise and the store. And y'all will go check out our new website, or totally revamped website, www.realliferealcrime.com by Black Sheep Creative. Clint and Alec, awesome. They actually are managing our website day to day, and they have a full store on there. It's, you know, go get you some good stuff. But we love and appreciate each and every one of y'all. Go ahead, Joe.
Yep. You also want to follow us on Instagram, Real Life, Real Crime, Overton Woody, or Jim_Craftman. Come follow us over there. Getting the YouTube channel. That's next. Stay tuned for that. That's going to be hot. You'll enjoy that one with us too.
Yeah, y'all, we asked for subscribers this week to the YouTube channel, and y'all, you know, lifers stepped up like they always do, and you nailed it. So now that we're past 1,000 subscribers for the YouTube channel, we get to go start doing live videos on YouTube, and we're going to be doing a lot of them. So stay tuned for that. we just love and appreciate each and every one of y'all. Thank you so much for everything that you do. But, we have an interview with the Morning Advocate that's going to be coming out this week, and we'll post that to all our social media. They were nice enough to come out and interview me when I was at the Livingston Parish Literacy and Technology Center, talking to the students. And then they interviewed Jim by phone because he's in Florida. And that's coming out sometime this week before the live shows in Walker. And if y'all are coming to the shows, it's going to be a good one. And that's it. We just love y'all and appreciate you.
I got one more thing. I know last week we spoke about the Louisiana-Oregon Procurement Agency and the students of the Livingston Parish Literacy and Technology Center. They were asking for 1,000 people to sign up to be an organ donor. They had an overwhelming amount of support, which we thank you very, very, very much for. They also had a lot of out-of-state, those outside of Louisiana, have gone on as well. So they created a drop-down for out-of-state members. Or there's two links. There's a link if you're out-of-state, and then there's a link if you are in-state. So if you have not done so, please go on to their website, and it's lopa.org/LTC. If you go on there, I know under the drop-downs you can do the students for the Literacy and Technology Center. But go on there if you have not done so, and show support and help these students to reach their number of 1,000 organ donors.
And when
one person can save up to 8 lives. So It's a way to give back. I mean, you're going to be expired anyway. So you might as well continue life where you can. And so if you go on there and support them, Kelly Jennings is running that program. She's wonderful, along with all their staff and faculty that they have. But go on there and do that.
And when you click on it, when you go on and you click on it, it's Livingston Parish Literacy and Technology Center. Then you click on section. It's the criminal justice students. Check that box. And that's for Miss Kelly. And they're awesome. They're hosting us, y'all, for these our first 3 live shows ever. And it's just important. You know how I feel about it. I told you the story about the young lady whose case I worked that got murdered, and how how she was able to help so many people through being an organ donor. So, but yeah, the great people out there, they're doing great things. And also for the live shows, I want to mention this real quick, Jim. The Southeastern Louisiana University. Actually, I'm supposed to do a radio interview with them this week, KSLU, but they're sound people. Southeastern University and Crystal, Miss Crystal Hardison is helping us by getting Southeastern's sound people to come out, and they're going to have Jim and I mic'd up in the room. All the sound, all the stuff that we don't know how to do. Miss Crystal Hardison and Southeastern Louisiana University are going to be stepping up to the plate and doing that. Awesome people. And the Livingston Parish Literacy and Technology Center, y'all know we got mad love for you, Kelly. But we appreciate it. Jim?
No, that's it. We'll see. Looking forward to meeting everybody next week. I hope everybody has a wonderful and safe weekend. Be smart. Don't drink and drive. Get an Uber. It's a heck of a lot cheaper.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Hey, I saw that this weekend it just popped in my head for the championship parade. I think Lyft is giving free, or no, they're donating.
They're donating a portion of each Lyft ride
for Carly McCord's scholarship foundation. Y'all, you heard us talk about Carly. She's a sweetheart. She's one of the original lifers, and she was so huge in helping us grow, and such a friend to Jim and I. So if y'all are out there this weekend, use Lyft, and a portion of their rides will be donated to Carly's Scholarship Foundation. So I guess that's just about it, brother. Oh, last thing. Don't be the one that didn't get your ticket for the crew bash because you waited. People that are not going to be there. I expect by the time we talk to y'all this time next week, we'll be sold out. So hurry, get them. It's going to be the party of 2020. Jim?
Thank you all for listening and support.
Appreciate
Lots of love.
Yep, we appreciate
Stay safe out there.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, buddy. I'm good.
All right. So we appreciate and love each and every one of y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in to Real Life, Real Crime, the podcast. The Hitman and I, mad love and respect for you. Appreciate you. Thanks. And until next time or ever, don't let us catch you down on murder by you. Peace.
Peace.
Hey guys, this is Dee from Delving Into the Cold, a show about true crime, conspiracies, hauntings, and much more. So if you like mysteries and those things that you can't quite wrap your head around, then this show is for you. You can find me on Podbean, Himalaya, or iTunes. Or you can hit me up on Facebook at Delving Into the Cold Pod. And if you like what you hear, then leave a review. Alright guys, stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you next time.
Get ready, you're gonna do